Well, good afternoon. I'm Gary Guzzi from the White House Council on Environmental Quality. I want to welcome everyone here. I want to welcome the viewers on our live stream today to the celebration of the White House Youth Sustainability Challenge winners who we have with us today, and encourage your questions at White House CEQ via Twitter. With us today, we have a number of the key winners. We have Alexis Wong at the end, who is from Miami, Florida, winner of the Most Innovative Award for their Operation Gulliver International about water treatment issues. We have next Max Chen from George Washington University for the Popular Choice Award for his work on the video growth. We have Michael St. Germain from Johns Hopkins University for the Best Contribution to Sustainability Concepts video on everyday actions, enduring results, all about the enormously important transportation work that's been done there. We have Danielle Mathis from Georgetown University and the Best Overall video, A Generation of Energy, Georgetown Energy, all about their work from solar streets in Georgetown to their work in developing countries. And then lastly, but certainly not least, because the Best Communication of Sustainability Concepts, Lauren Gibson from Carmel, Indiana, with the video about the Carmel Green Team Micro Grant Program. We encourage you to look at all those videos on the Youth Sustainability Challenge website. We had the opportunity to present all those videos at the Rio+20 Conference and to celebrate the enormous amount of work that went into them and the really creative and wonderful and transformative work that we're here celebrating today. So let me ask each of our panelists, what was your reaction when you heard you won the challenge? What did you think? And anyone who wants to volunteer, just please do. Alexis?
It was a definite surprise, and it was kind of a coincidence at the same time because two of my project managers, Shai and Lucia, were actually at the Rio+20 Youth Ambassadors Conference. So they didn't really understand that we had won another competition while they were consecutively at their conference.
I was just really excited. No words, just exclamation points all in my head.
We were ecstatic. I know that we had been engaged in a popularity contest with Max for a while there. But,
tough competition.
Yeah, tough competition. It was exciting. I mean, obviously happy.
Yeah, we were definitely really excited. It was a scramble, I know. I got a call from Jessica, who's in the audience here. He asked if we could upload the video, and we had problems sending it to the White House.
Oh, no.
But we were definitely really we were really happy. And you know, with everyone else, we watched all the videos, obviously, and we were really excited that we could be, you know, among the winners.
Thank you. I was actually out of the country in Cambodia when we won, so I didn't hear until several weeks later about winning, but I was so excited. And another youth board member who's here in the audience, Emily Roberts, she was in Spain at the same time. So we didn't hear until later, but we were so excited and so excited to be meeting all of the people here.
Well, we're just thrilled to have you here at the White House today, and really hope that you can help us to answer a few questions. Let me start out by asking about, what do you think the role of young people is in facing the sustainability challenge? Lauren?
Sure. What people always say is that youth are the future of our world, and that's true, but we're also here right now, we're the present. So I think that one of youth's main, I guess, roles in the sustainability challenge would be to learn today, to start getting habits, forming positive habits that will be sustainable into the future, so we can be nurturing sustainable leaders. That's why our program, the Carmel Green Teen Microgrant Program, we award funding to youth environmental projects in our city, so we can teach young people at that young age how to be sustainable.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with what Lauren said about, starting it from a young age. And our group is from a university, so we're a little older than what you guys are working with, but definitely moving that forward. And I think, college students have the energy, pun intended, to be able to do the research and do the work and put forward the effort to really make some difference, and then take that forward as they launch out on their careers of the past that they choose after college. It's really important and really exciting what's going on right now.
Let me just, before getting to Michael, Lauren, let me ask, what's the youngest age grant recipient that you all had? What was the?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think. We have little bitty Cub Scouts and Brownies and Girl Scouts applying for the awards. They're so energetic and so pumped about their projects. One little boy named Sam, when he was receiving his award at a ceremony, said, "Small changes made by small people can make a big difference." So adorable.
That's great. Well, we're talking about what's the role of young people in facing the sustainability challenge. We're eager for your questions at White House CEQ via Twitter. Michael.
I think, it's really the youth's responsibility to make sustainability cool and kind of instill it in our culture, because ultimately it's our culture, or it's our generation that's going to inherit all of the mistakes of past generations environmentally if we're not careful.
Sorry about that.
And so, and it doesn't have to be difficult. In our video, we showed recycling beer cans at a college party. It's it can be cool, and
Hopefully the Boy Scouts aren't doing that.
yeah, hopefully not. But yeah.
So as young people, we don't necessarily have all of our future endeavors all planned out. We're discovering ourselves. We're trying to discover new things, find better ways of doing what we're currently doing. And so the energy of young people is that they are able to find new ways to improve upon what we're currently doing, to identify sustainability as a part of their individual character, and use that message to transform their communities.
I believe that the youth and the role that we play in sustainability in our future is critical in making what we believe our world to be better. And we have that advantage of technology and innovation, and we have the advantage of not only having the present and being inspired by what's in front of us, but we also have people that are older and more experienced telling us of their experiences in making this world a better place. So I think that our role is in a very important place.
Well, that seems like a really important insight about the technology that's available to you via social media. I often tell the story of when I was in college, people used to send me messages by leaving notes on my bicycle to say, hey, Gary's bicycle, meet me at 4 for coffee, because there was no other way, in fact, to communicate. But now you can sit here and instantaneously communicate to everyone around the world, and we hope that people out there will communicate with us at White House CEQ with questions. But let me ask our panelists, what advice do you have to people who want to make a difference in their community? Someone, sort of understands the sustainability challenge, but is looking for ways that they can contribute. Any advice? Alexis.
I think the advice would be just to persist and make sure that you're heard, because it's so minimal to keep saying like, oh, turn off your lights, or make sure that you turn off your computers and unplug your electronics, but at the same time be able to recognize that you can make an impact, no matter how little or minimal you may think that it be. You can make an impact in your community and ultimately in the world.
Mm-hmm. I would say the most important advice is to just get started. I used to do varsity track, and my coach used to tell me that the most important step in the race is just putting on your shoes. If there's something that you want to do to make the world a better place, if there's something that you have your eyes set on that might be a really high goal, but if you just put on your shoes, that's going to start you on your way in getting there.
I really think that if you can use what you know and where you come from, you'll go a lot farther and your program will be much stronger. I'm from Detroit, I know cars. My family's grown up around cars. We've worked in the car industry for 4 generations. And so I realized that the vans that we use at Hopkins can be used better and cleaner and more efficient because of being from where I'm from. So I think really knowing yourself and your community is the best way, and just finding a project that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say stay passionate. The projects that we've worked on at Georgetown, and even outside the country, you run into a lot of roadblocks, and you run into a lot of people that say no, like you can't do this, or a lot of obstacles along the way. And I think if you stay passionate and keep that fire, and meet the people you need to make sure that what you want to do gets done, then you're eventually gonna find some success, and it's definitely gonna make a difference.
Yeah, I agree completely with everything else that has been said. Use your youth as an advantage. People take notice when someone who's half their height is talking to them about youth sustainability and what they can do to make a difference. It's really an advantage if you think of it that way. Go to town hall meetings, talk, and yeah, just get started, make connections, and reach out to people even if you don't think that someone that important is going to respond to you. When I was in 5th grade, I did a report on polar bears and climate change, and one of the leading researchers at Polar Bears International emailed me back before the person at the Indianapolis Zoo did. So it's just take a chance, make connections, use your youth as an advantage.
That's some great advice about passion and persistence and getting started and recognizing the uniqueness of a youth voice in our society and the way in which it's really revered and respected. So thank you for those. And we welcome any other questions at White House CEQ. But let me ask, here we are at the White House, and I want to get your thoughts about how can the federal government best engage our nation's youth in these kinds of challenges? Any volunteers? More of events like this, of course.
Of course.
I think
Alexis, please.
We were just talking recently about the platform that this gives all of us, I think, and all of our projects and our groups to be able to go back to our hometowns and our schools and be able to say that we went to the White House and that our country is readily available and accessible for our future. They want us to succeed and hopefully influence other people. And I think that creating that platform is essential in the future of youth sustainability.
Great. Daniel, you had a thought.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think especially now during election year, and like everything you see about the government is based on that, and kind of the youth get a little pushed to the side. But these events and being able to talk to individuals across the country, whether it be high school students or college students, and saying, hey, you guys are actually making a difference, whether it be sustainability or any other topic. And just that kind of recognition really makes a huge impact on what you feel, like how they're being recognized. And I think that's something that definitely goes a lot further than you think.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this. Marcia Walker at MW Energy asks, do any of you have plans for careers in these sectors? Or are you thinking about, for example, the industrial or manufacturing sectors as places where you can make a huge difference?
So I'm currently studying business and sustainability at the George Washington University, and I'd really like to approach the cause of sustainability with a set of business tools. I feel as though business is a method of persuasion. It's a way of convincing organizations to do certain things, and business is oftentimes the way that our society functions. So with the tool of business, I hope to maybe get into sustainability consulting, maybe social entrepreneurship, anything that I can do to use business as a tool to persuade people to pursue sustainability.
Other career thoughts on this area?
I know I'm personally interested in continuing my family's legacy in the automotive industry at some point, just because cars are something that's cool, and as we talked about earlier today, they just raised the CAFE standards again. And so it is a constant struggle for automakers to keep up with that and not only make their vehicles more sustainable and much more easier to manufacture without having to waste tons of plastic product. So I think there's so much potential in the automotive industry for using recycled goods.
And we're seeing just a range of innovations in that industry right now in response to the new standards that were announced. Yeah. Anyone else? Thoughts about
Sure.
that?
Yeah, I personally plan to continue the sustainability idea into my career. I'm interested in environmental science and biology. And yeah, even industrial and manufacturing places can have an environmental impact, obviously, in their practices, what materials they use, and what sort of, what materials they use in the different places that help them out with that.
Let me ask you, what are some common barriers that you found to getting your communities excited about sustainability? What were some of the challenges that you saw in doing that?
I can speak to that a little bit. So we run a
This
project.
sounds like the voice of experience.
Don't tell my university that. No, so we run a project at Georgetown, and I'm sure as at any other large establishment, they're very ingrained in the status quo and very reluctant to kind of move forward in something that's kind of risky. And they see sustainability or renewable energy projects as a little risky, even though there's been a lot of proof that it's not really. And
Definitely appreciate their support, though.
yeah, we definitely appreciate the support they've given us. But even if outside of the university, it's a new thing. There are a lot of new innovations that sometimes it's hard to say, hey, let's try this out and see what happens. So that's what we've had a lot of pushback there, but we had a lot of success too, and we found just as many people supporting us as we've found roadblocks.
That's great. Other thoughts about barriers?
Well, the first step in persuading people to pursue a particular course of action is to understanding who they are. You don't want to promote fuel-efficient cars to a school where students don't drive cars to get to class. So in order to really get people to think a certain way, you have to understand who they are, what they're interested in, what they're looking for, and then connect sustainability to their identity. For example, in Green GW, the student sustainability organization at the George Washington University, we've really tried to emphasize connecting our sustainability events to what people are genuinely interested in. For example, a zero-waste basketball game connects people to a certain audience. A trash and show where all the clothes are made from trash and paraded on a runway, that appeals to a different audience. And it's really about tailoring the issue of sustainability so that it fits each individual's mold.
I know, at least with our project, there was a lot of skepticism regarding natural gas and using natural gas in light-duty vehicles. And, it ultimately comes down to just persistence, constantly reinforcing what your idea is and how it can work for us and everyone else. And so I think that because barriers are always going to be there, but ultimately, if you're passionate enough, I think you can get over it.
Yeah, going off of what Daniel said, we also have run into some administrative roadblocks, but also even once those are overcome, a recycling program is useless if nobody knows about the recycling program or nobody uses the recycling bins. So you also have to consider the change in mindset and the education aspect of any project. So that's why our microgrant program focuses on having an educational component to every project to make sure that it has a lasting, sustainable impact.
Well, thank you for those thoughts, these ideas on creating connections and being persistent about it and communicating and educating lead, I think, Nicolette at Nick Piz to ask, well, don't rest on your laurels. What projects are you going to tackle next? What can we expect to see from you all? Alexis.
I know that back home at the high school that I just graduated at Gulliver Prep, they're continuing Operation Gulliver International and continuing to innovate more engineering projects to help youth sustainability, and they're working on a future water filtration system that we actually adopted from our 2008-2009 team. So
This
I
is
think it
in
shows,
Miami?
Yes, in Miami. So I think it shows the generations being passed down and showing that the projects are ongoing and that we are making a difference by influencing the younger generation.
In Green GW, we're trying to tackle more things that produce quantitative data, quantitative results. This past year, we've done a lot of awareness campaigns, and this year we're really trying to push for more policy-oriented campaigns. Personally, a project that I'm trying to tackle is that I just want to teach myself more about business and sustainability. I'd like to see more business and sustainability courses at the George Washington University, something that I'm working with the faculty in creating, and hopefully encouraging other students to learn about it as well.
I know I personally just started working on expanding the natural gas van project to other universities. So if there's anyone listening who thinks they might have a van project at their school that they might be able to use natural gas for, you can always go to ucpet.org, ucpet.org. We just launched the website, and we're hoping to expand it to other colleges, because the best part is that it pays for itself. So.
Yeah, so we're definitely expanding the solar project that we did on campus. We just established a revolving green loan fund. We're looking at solar thermal on campus and solar hot air. Off campus, we're doing a lot of international work with clean development mechanisms in Haiti and micro solar projects in Africa. So we got a lot of stuff going on.
Echoing what Michael said, we're trying to expand the microgrant program into different locations while trying to keep it going in Carmel. As most of our board members are graduating high school and heading to different states, that's proving to be a little bit of a challenge. But we're also looking to spread the program, and so if anybody's listening and interested, carmelgreenteen.org.
Great. You know, from Florida and Indiana and Washington and a whole variety of places, you've had ideas that you've applied really specifically, you've applied locally, you've applied regionally, you've applied globally. But Laura Sauls at Laura 11 asks, how do you think the actions you are taking make a global impact?
At least I know with our project, over the next 10 years, we'll be able to cut 750,000 pounds of CO2. And I mean, it might not be a lot globally, but we all breathe the same air. So it's one step in the right direction towards cleaner air.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, like, that's definitely an amazing point, and that's something that we're emphasizing as well. But also just setting an example. You know, like we're the 6 of us up here, 5 of us up here, I think are just a few of the people across the globe who are doing sustainability projects and can really show that the youth can make a difference in this area.
Yeah, I agree completely. As well as setting off carbon dioxide emissions and setting an example. Even our projects can have a global impact. For example, we actually got an application from a group in Zimbabwe. Unfortunately, we couldn't fund their project since we only fund it in our city, but you can see that it has an impact on people other than in our own city. Other people are learning about the project and obviously interested in their own sustainability projects.
More thoughts? So let me just, I know we need to wrap up, but say congratulations to all of our panelists for the tremendous contributions that they've made through the White House Youth Sustainability Challenge. It's been a privilege here to see the great work that's being done in communities by young people who are really helping us to better understand the way in which our actions affect the world that they'll be living in. And the kinds of on-the-ground solutions that they are coming up with and offering that we were able to profile at the Rio+20 Conference, and that we're really recognized as an important part of what the U.S. is doing to help to address the sustainability challenge. So again, congratulations to all of you. Best of luck, and thank you so much for your efforts.
Thank you.